and welcome to Stories for Wonderful Children. I'm Dan Wendelin, your host and storyteller. Years ago, I began recording the bedtime stories I told my children every night. Now, I'd like to share those stories with you. I hope you enjoy my Stories for Wonderful Children.
Once upon a time, there was a mouse named Rikki.
Rikki Tikki?
Yes, and Rikki was in many ways like most other mice. He liked to eat cheese, and he liked to eat peanut butter, and he liked to sneak around and live in quiet and dark places. Like most mice, he stayed away from people as much as he could, most of the time. But unlike most mice, Rikki had one time that he really liked to be close to people. And that time was when there was a soccer game being played. Rikki loved soccer almost as much as he loved cheese. It made him both very happy and very sad to watch a soccer game. He lived in a field right next to a soccer field. And whenever the people were playing soccer, he would go and sit under the stands and watch. It made him happy to watch because he loved soccer. He loved watching the ball being kicked up and down the field. He loved holding his breath when a goal was about to be scored to see whether the goalie would make a save or whether the person kicking the ball would get it past the goalie and score. He loved the sounds that the crowds made when they cheered for the soccer players, and he loved the sound of their feet running up and down the field. It made him sad because watching other people play soccer just reminded him that he was a mouse, and he would never be able to play soccer himself. Well, one day, something new happened. He had watched a soccer game, and he stayed until the last players had filed out. And after they had left, he noticed something. And what he noticed was that someone had left behind a soccer ball. He thought, no harm in trying to look. So he went up to the soccer ball. Just out of curiosity, he tried kicking it. But compared to a mouse, a soccer ball is really very large. So then he tried climbing up on top of it, and when he did that, the ball rolled as he climbed up the side. And then once he was on top of the ball, he could run whichever direction he wanted. And the ball would roll in the opposite direction. He thought, I may just be a mouse, but I can play soccer. And so he tried rolling the ball up and down the field, seeing how quickly he could get it to go. He found that if he ran as fast as he could get the ball to roll almost as fast as a good kick from the humans. Well, Rikki thought, I didn't think I would ever be able to play soccer, but now maybe I can. So the next day, when the soccer players came to the field, Rikki climbed up the back of the benches where the players sat, and he climbed up right behind the coach of the soccer team and said, "Excuse me?" And the coach said, "Yes." Rikki said, I needed to ask you something." "Yes," said the coach. Rikki said, "I needed to ask you if, maybe there would be a way that a mouse could play on your team?" And the coach laughed. He laughed. Ha 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 ha. And Rikki felt bad, but he decided he was going to keep a positive attitude, and he said, "Look, I know I'm just a mouse, and it doesn't seem like I can play, but I've tried it, and I can play a little, and I'd like to maybe play sometime. Will you at least stay after the game and watch me?" And the coach said, "All right, little mouse. If you want to stay, you can stay and watch the game, and after the game, We'll see what you can do with a soccer ball." "Thank you," said Rikki Tikki. And then, because the coach had invited him, he climbed up onto the coach's shoulder and watched the game from that perch. He really enjoyed it because he could see much better than usual, because he was much higher up, and because he got to hear the coach telling the players the strategies of things to do and to spread out and to pass the ball, and he learned a lot about soccer listening to the coach. After the game, the coach said, "Okay, little mouse, show me what you can do." And Rikki Tikki climbed up on the ball and ran as fast as he could to run the ball up and down the field. Rikki Tikki said, "So that's what I could do, what do you think?" And the coach said, "Well, I don't know. You certainly can't run with that ball. Tell you what, why don't you come to the games with me, and you and I can discuss strategies. And if there comes a time when I need a mouse, I'll let you play." Rikki Tikki agreed. He started coming to every game that coach and his team played. It was the blue team, and the coach's name was Coach Bob. Coach Bob. He even stopped calling Rikki Tikki Little Mouse and started calling him Rikki, which was what he preferred. Well, Rikki learned more about soccer that summer than he thought he ever would. But he did not get to play. He learned how to set up a defense to help keep the other team from scoring. He learned how to choose a goalie. He learned how to teach the players how to pass and how to throw in. And at the very last game of the season, Coach Bob said, "Well, little Rikki, you know what? I don't know if you're ever going to be a very good soccer player because you're so small, but you've turned into a heck of a coach. I think next year you should apply to the YMCA to coach a team of your own." And Rikki thought that he might like that. And then at the very end of the game, with 2 minutes left, Coach Bob said to him, "Well, it's time for you to go in." Rikki said, "Go in?" He said, "Yeah, you've been wanting to play. Now's your chance." And so he set Rikki on the field, and Rikki ran out to the ball. And when it was time to kick, Rikki ran the ball as fast as he could, and all the players ran up trying to kick it, but he would switch directions, and the ball would roll left and roll right and roll left and roll right. And it was funny because unless you looked carefully and saw the mouse running on top of it, it looked like the ball was just rolling in all those crazy patterns all by itself. And the goalie on the other team was so surprised that he didn't move for a minute until it was too late, and Rikki had scored. He had scored, and he was so happy. He was the happiest mouse ever. And they had a celebration afterwards. The team all cheered for Rikki, and they all agreed that he would make a wonderful coach. And he found a warm window burrow, and he spent the long cold winter in his burrow. And come spring, he went to the Y, and he signed up to be a coach. And they assigned him the brown team. And for his team name, he picked the name the Mighty Mice.
What?
The Mighty Mice. And
The Mighty Mice?
Yep, and he was a wonderful coach. He never yelled, and he taught the players a whole lot. And his team won 5 of the 6 games. And after that, every year, lots of kids asked to be on Mighty Mice so that they could have Coach Rikki as their coach.
Thanks for listening to Stories for Wonderful Children. I created today's story, but questions and clever commentary were supplied by my children. The intro and outro music is by Brandon Thompson. If you enjoy the show, please tell someone about it, or leave a review on Apple Podcasts. Our email is storiesforwonderfulchildren@gmail.com, and you can also find us on Facebook or Twitter. I'm Dan Wendelin, reminding you to tell someone you love a story.